We finally got our tow vehicle, a 2018 Ford F350 dually. But we quickly found out that having a big old bed like this wasn't too useful when it was raining out. So I did some research and I wanted a hard tonneau cover that laid flat but was still pretty waterproof, so we could use this big bed as a trunk when we're not hauling the fifth wheel. So what we got was the BakFlip MX4 for our Ford F350. And I'll show you how to get it installed. We have all the parts here. What comes in the box is obviously the BakFlip itself. You got the customized rails for whatever rig you're putting it on. On our long bed, it does come with 8 sets of the clips that hold the rail, the little hoses for drainage. Some applications require these shims, so you got to look at your rails and see when you put the rails on if you need the shims or not. We don't need them because our rails are straight. And then different seals and bumps and stuff that we'll go over once we get started on this. So let's get started. Okay, so what I did is I went ahead and put a 9/16 deep well socket on my screw gun here so that when we're attaching these clips, it'll be a little easier just to get them snugged up and then finally to torque them down. The instructions do say to put this at 10 pound-feet of torque. Obviously I don't have the ability with this, but I'll just be careful when I tighten them up not to go too hard. But you do want these on there pretty hard because that's what's going to hold the rails onto your bed rails. Also, I have a BakBox 2 that we're going to install after this is installed. We'll put a link in the description below with the time code, so if you're just looking for the BakBox 2 install, just move forward to that time code and then you can see that installed. So let's get started. First step is to install this foam along the bulkhead here to give it a good seal. Our truck does have a spray-on truck bed liner, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe this area down with an alcohol pad, hopefully allowing this to stick a little better. I am a little worried about how well this is going to stick on here, but with that said, it's supposed to work. So I'm just going to peel back a little bit at a time and work my way down. It does appear it's going to stick pretty well, so that's good news. And when you get to the end, you got to cut off the excess. There we go. Okay, so the next step is to put these rails on. You want to make sure that you're putting the silver part towards the front of the rig, and then make sure you have the tailgate closed because you want to make sure when you're opening and closing the tailgate after you put this on that you don't bump up against the end. So with this on, now we can see, I'm just going to center it in here. Looks like the tailgate's going to be great. Now we've got to take one of these clamps, loosen it up a little bit. The jaw's open on it. And then those go around the rail and the truck bed rail. And I'm just gonna put, oh, you gotta do it with the nut towards you or you won't be able to tighten it. And then I'm just gonna snug this up just a little bit to hold the rail on while I work on the rest of it. So it looks like with our kit, we have 8 of these, so 4 per side. I'm guessing that's because it's a long bed. I think the short bed version will only have 6 of them, so 3 per side. So I just put that one kind of in the middle, and then once I get the front and back in, I'll space those out. If you're wondering why I'm all bundled up, for some reason Nashville decided to get into the 30s today, which is just crazy. Last one, the one on the back, I'm going to put all the way as far back as I can go, and then snug it up while holding the rail down as tight as possible. Our next step is we actually need to put the tonneau cover on the rails. So if you have a beautiful assistant like my wife, you should get her to come help put it up there, because the long bed one is definitely a little heavy. So we're just going to walk it up to the front. This short panel is what goes towards the front, so make sure you arrange it that way. Alright, so now I just want to make sure that I place it on here and that it's straight and even with the front of the bed here all the way across. You can do fine adjustment after you have it in, but at least you start in the right place. Our next step is we're going to add on the clips that these go to attach it, so you can run with this down in this position. Alright, so you're going to want to do this with a regular screwdriver. This is just a plastic piece, and they kind of warn you that if you over tighten this, it'll break it. So you want to make sure that the opening where the clip goes in is facing the back, and it has these screws, you can see those, and then this threaded bolt, or reverse threaded bolt I guess it is. So that'll come in through the back side. We'll need 2 of those. I'm just going to hold those and start them by hand if I can, maybe not. Just hold them on the back side while you start them out. Alright, so our next step is to install the bolts that hold the BakFlip onto the rails. So you need this bolt, which is kind of flat-headed and really cool. So then we're putting a rubber washer down all the way flat on the top so that it seals. And then it goes through this big hole, kind of obvious where it goes. And hopefully you can find where it lines up on the bottom side. That just came off of here. Oh, maybe this just goes. You're supposed to go through that?
Maybe so.
Some type of shim? I don't think you need that piece. Okay, so what we had to do was back it up so where this L channel is actually meeting where this foam that we just put down earlier. So once you do that, you can see that this lays down nice and flush. It also came with this foam piece on the back side where this hole was, like so. Of course, that's blocking where you put the screw in here. So I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with that. Hold, and I'll look at the instructions. Alright guys, so I think I've figured this out. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments below. But when this ships, this part is folded up underneath here, and I'm guessing this is on so that these rivets don't scratch the underside of the cover. I could be wrong, but I definitely know that's not going to be easy to get through with punching it. I don't want to drill it, and when I push down on this, I like how tight it is without it, and with it, if I were to drill a hole through, It just doesn't set, it stops right there. So there's nothing to allow me to squeeze this down. So I'm just gonna take them off. Back to the original thing. These go through, and look, now they go right through and line right up. So on the bottom side, here's the order. And I'm doing this from top to bottom. So this is gonna be against the cover. Then you've got this nice big fender washer that goes after that. Then you've got a lock washer that goes after that. And then these thumb screws. So that's what will be underneath. And if you have a lovely assistant like I do, she can hold the top of it down, or the bolt in there, while you jump underneath the bed and tighten this up. Alright, so what you don't want to do is over tighten that right now, because the next step, we're going to unroll this cover and make sure that it meets up with the tailgate. And from there to there is over 8 feet. So there could be a lot of wiggling that we have to do to make sure that this fit right. I'm going to go put the one on the other side, and then we'll unroll this thing. Alright, so what it looks like to me, I don't know if you guys can see in here, is that we need to back this thing up just a little more, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that at least 2 of these little flanges, at least 2 of those are up against the tailgate. And you can see as the tailgate gets down here, we wouldn't even be hitting one. Can you guys see where this clip is? So it's important that that clip is all the way underneath this flat section, not sitting on the edge like that. That would be bad. So when you press down, it should lock all the way in. So you want to check that on both sides too, and that'll tell you whether it is on straight. Let me jump down here. Yep, and this side went in too, so I'm happy about that. And now we'll check the tailgate again. Yes, and now we're a lot better. So. Alright, I really like that on the back now. I don't know if you can see, but that's the metal right there. And now we're going to be pretty much a 1/4 inch from that. That may be a little too far. Let's check up more. So that's down on both sides. I'm happy with that. One cool thing about the MX4, it's the only one that you can open and close the tailgate without having to open the tonneau cover. And that's why I bought it. Look at that, like a champ. So now we'll have to unfold it again and get up underneath there and tighten down those bolts. Once that's done, I think the only thing left is to attach the drip rails. So the last thing we have to do is install these drain hoses. So at the front of the bed rails is a little nubbin underneath that this hooks onto, and then you run this out one of the plugs. So to make that easier to see, we can open this up all the way. Here's the drain plug. Now we have a spray-in truck bed liner, so I'm not really wanting to take this out, but I do have a drill bit that I can drill a hole in this so that this can then exit there. So that's what I'm going to do. Just take these, drill a hole here, shove it through the hole, and call that good. One for each side, and we'll be good to go. If you're wondering this is a 7/8 inch hole. So I have a 7/8 inch speed bore from when I used to be a low voltage guy. So we're gonna drill holes in the truck. Wish me luck. So I don't know how happy I am with the way that went, but I think because it's got the bed liner on there, it's wanting to come off, but this doesn't need a bed liner, so I'm going to trim that out. This stuff is tough. There it goes. And we'll shove that out the hole. That's it. Hopefully that doesn't get in the way. Now we'll do the other side. Not a fan of this part. This is where you snag your wife's vacuum and you don't tell her. So the last step is to attach these bumpers to the BakFlip, so when it's fully up, it doesn't touch the back of the cab. On ours, you can see when it's all the way forward, the only place it wants to hit is right here at the cargo box camera. So I'm going to put one here, so if it were to come all the way forward, it wouldn't hit that camera. So to do that, I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to take another alcohol prep pad here, just to make sure that there's no oil or anything on this area that would maybe keep that from sticking so well. I'll wait for that to dry. Okay, so you just peel the back off of this. I did go ahead and line it up, and I put my finger right where that is going to be centered on that camera. And I'm going to get it as close to this edge as possible, but I don't want it over the edge so that it impacts when it's fully folded out and ends up creating a problem there. So that's as far as I think I can go. Now we'll test that out. Good. So now we don't mess up the cargo camera. Well, it's time to install the handy dandy toolbox. So I ordered the BakBox 2 when I ordered the MX4 tonneau cover because I wanted a toolbox, but I didn't want to have one of the big toolboxes and then have to have a shorter bed cover. So this is nice because it collapses and I get full access to the bed, or mainly full access to the bed. It takes up a little bit of space. And then it also is hidden underneath the BakFlip. So with it hidden underneath the BakFlip, I keep a clean look, which is what I'm after. But still get a place to put some of our stuff. And again, if I need to use the whole bed, then this actually collapses up against the back wall, so then we can take advantage of having this long bed. So for this installation, we install these little clips on the B side of these brackets. So there's 3 different sides. There's an A side, a B side, And then there's a whole nother bracket that's for C, because this back box can go on an MX4 or any of the other BakFlip tonneau covers, and it can also go on the revolver covers, which roll up, so they're rolling hard tonneau covers. So in my instance, we have a BakFlip, so this I'm going to use B. And the first step is you got to put these little clips. So the short side is on the bottom and the clip goes on the long side. So what you can see is this box, it actually can go anywhere on the truck bed. Most people are probably going to put it closer to the cab, but you can see this angle goes right in here, and you can put it anywhere on the truck box you want. Now the way this works is that this plate will then go behind here. We'll put these screws through it. So we've got these long screws, and you want to start these before you put it up there. And you've got all these different locations depending on where you're going to put it. So in my case, I'm going to put it all the way towards the front. So the way to tell which box, I'm going to call this a box, which box goes on which side is the Velcro needs to face the back of the truck. Because when you fold out the box, it has a piece of Velcro that comes over to hold it open. So make sure that you have the Velcro facing the back of the truck. So after you get this pre-threaded, one thing is I noticed is when you put it on, it looks like you might want to go to the back side of your bed rail, but that's not where you want it to be. You actually want it to be right here, only on the BakFlip rail. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to move it up there to the front where I'm actually going to attach my box. I want mine way up here at the front, so when I open this, then I get to the box. So here it is, and again, this goes on the rail only, and I'm just going to snug it up with the drill, and then I'm going to hand tighten it because I don't want to over tighten this. It just broke.
What? There's a piece.
Did I do anything wrong?
I don't think so.
Well, that's disappointing. We'll just see how good BakFlip's warranty is, because this has a 3-year warranty.
Wow, that's pretty.
Not a fan of that. Okay, so all you got to do is you're going to temporarily just put the back box down onto the frame, and then we're going to hold the front forward with the Velcro like that. So these holes line up with these slots. All we're going to do is put them up here. Screws go through to the back side like that. These nuts go on there. If you can get them on there, that's awesome. When your hands are frozen, this is a lot harder. Oh, for goodness sakes. All else fails, use your handy dandy screwdriver to start. There we go. And all you're going to do is just kind of get these finger tight to start. And you may have to pull in on these boxes just to get them, or the, I don't know what you would call those, the U-shaped. So that's it. You just do all 4 of these. You're going to tighten them up. If you want to know, that's an 11/32 is this nut on the back side. Get all these in here, make sure it's centered. The last thing, just make sure that these are level with the side, and then tighten those down. then you're done. The last step is to put in this little tray. So you can see you can move this around wherever you want, and when you need the whole bed, all you do, take this Velcro off, lift it up, and then this goes around the back side. And now you got your whole bed again. So that's it for the BakBox 2. Hope you found this video useful. So this was our install of the MX4 and the BakBox 2 on our 2018 Ford F350 dually. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the notifications so you'll know when we put out new videos, which could include upgrades to this, our RZR, or our new fifth wheel when it finally gets here.